Wait, what's going on YouTube? It's Donnie B all day with a Halloween special. So, I got myself a pumpkin. Now, here in New England, in Massachusetts especially, we take Halloween really serious. This is our thing, right? And you'll notice the pumpkin is not orange, it's white. I kind of like using the white ones. Last year I did, or 2 years ago, I did a Jack Skellington out of a white one, and it came out pretty boss. So I'm thinking of something different this year, and I can't do Halloween without my mascots from Hey, It's the Johnsons, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. Love them. So I started grabbing a yellow marker and tinkering around with some face ideas, and I have a couple things that I was thinking about doing. I'm going to show you. I went out and I bought this bag of goodies, and some things that aren't made for pumpkins, like a machete, because I mean it's a machete. And then those foam tombstones that you can buy for your yard. Well, they also sell with these arms that you can smash into the ground to make it look like they're coming out of the tombstones. And I thought, how cool would these be jabbed inside of a pumpkin and used in some sort of way, especially having one of those. So I'm thinking those might end up on the pumpkin depending on how it looks. I found a bunch of little plastic spiders, and they're the spider rings. So I figured if I just made a little slit inside the pumpkin, boop, I could put those in, make a little slot for them, and I could put little spiders all over the pumpkin. I thought that would be pretty cool. So then I went to the party store and I got this bag of eyeballs. And I was thinking maybe I could do something with like a bunch of different eyeballs or whatnot. But then I started thinking, what if I just do 2 eyeballs, but cut out around, like in here and out there around the eyeballs. So that way when I do put a candle inside of the pumpkin, then the light will show from around them. And because they're like this green gooey stuff, I'm wondering if the light will actually make them look like they're kind of glowing. So that's going to be something I'm going to try. And I have a hot glue gun heating, so hopefully that will work out. Then I found this other thing that was pretty cool, man. Came across these this year, and I thought these would make some pretty badass mouth ornaments. They're screw-in teeth. So you make your hole, and my hole, I'm thinking about doing something like this so I can fit a bunch of nasty-looking teeth in there. But then you just screw those in, and game changer. Instead of cutting all these little teeth, you do that, and it's just pretty sweet. They look more like teeth. So now my goal is to start cutting the pumpkin. What am I using? I have one of these little Pampered Chef paring knives that I'm going to use, but my main knife is going to be my right edge paring knife, or fruit knife. That's what it's called, I think. Long, strong, and thin, so it should help me get around corners. This is going to be my main knife for the pumpkin carving, and then I have some glue sticks to set in my eyeballs and maybe some of the other stuff. But now I have to think of how I want to do it. Do I want to chop the machete in half and then do one end in and one end out? Do I want to just make a slit in the pumpkin and lay the machete in there? Got a lot of choices. First things first, what I think. Oh, and another thing is most pumpkins are carved around the top, right? And then you could lift the top on and off. What I was thinking of doing was the back. Just cut a little hole, just enough to get a fist in, so I could take everything just so I can take out all the stuff and put in what I need. And I'm thinking about doing that, but I haven't really gotten that far in my decision yet. I'm going to press pause, and then I'll have a decision made. All right, so I made my decision. I made a little circle, and I'm going to make a hole in the back and unplug it so I can leave the top as it is. So basically all I'm doing is I'm taking my long fruit knife, and I'm kind of just giving it a little bit of wiggle and turning the corner. And as you can see, it's making a nice corner turned. And it's just about wiggle and pressure, wiggle and pressure, wiggle and pressure. When you get to a hard angle, then you can stop, pull the knife, and re-change your angle, and it will help you continue. So it's just a good way to get out the knot. Also, a little something, the reason why I go with a pumpkin like this, right? You see how flat it is? Now, normally you see those pumpkins, they have those nice hard creases, and it's got that real jack-o'-lantern look, all those real hard lines. The problem with the hard lines is inside the lines is hard. It gets a lot stiffer. And when you're trying to make a uniform cut, having two things that come together like this change your cut so you go from a straight line to a wobbled line. So it doesn't always look as good. So I went with the smoothest pumpkin I could find. That way I can get the smoothest lines and have the most uniform solidity, I guess you could say, right? So that's the point for this. So far, so good, I think. Oh, and when you were doing it, I was just about to do it. If you're going to make a circle somewhere, it's a good thing to take a little marker and make a line all the way through where you're going through. That way you know how to line back up your pumpkin top, so you're not going, wait, how did it go again? Just a little easiness to it. All right, so I just reached the point where I can pull out my hole. You'll notice there's some big fat pumpkin seeds in there. So now it's time to extract all that stuff. But you can see my little hole blocker will fit just perfectly. It's going to be nice. Hold on. Tools of the trade. You're going to need a little pot and something to scoop out the mess. Use a measuring cup because it's easy to scoop with. Some people use a spoon or they just try and drag their knife across. That's dumb. It'll take you forever. So this is going to be pretty fast. Now I got to dig my hand in there, so got to take off whatever jewelry you got that's going to get that far in. Don't forget to remove your watch, because if you've ever watched those special movies, you know when you go in deep, you're getting messy. All right, so I have that, and I have this box that I have my stuff in. And what I'm going to do is take all my stuff out of this box and use the box to hold the pumpkin. That way if stuff spills all over the place, it's not going to go anywhere. And I don't know what I did with all my little eyeballs. I left them in the bag. All right. So take this, put that in the box. Now I'm going to take off my cap. That's sealed really nicely. And I'm going to use this little knife just to make a nice hard line going across, and to take off all that stuff. Just with a nice stiff knife, it's easy to do that. Bada boom, bada bing. So that's it. So now I have my topper already done, and I'm going to put this boop in my pot just like that, and I keep everything right with me so it's easy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to edge the inside here this way. Well, you can only see it that way. So this way, and I'm going to give it kind of an angle like that just to square it off. So then I'll show you. Hold on. And just like that, now you can see the hole is nice and clear and easy to navigate through, especially when you have giant hands. So now I'm just going to take my scooper, pooper scooper, and I'm going to start to dig all that stuff. First, I'm just going to go and use the edge, and I'm going to scrape. And once I have everything scraped and loose, hey, look at that, a seed. And I'll tell you, some of these white pumpkins, if you like to bake your pumpkin seeds, these things are huge. They're really, really nice seeds. All right, so I'm going to scrape, and then what I will do is once everything is scraped, I will take my little scooper and just empty it into my pot. So I'll show you when it's done. All right, I just want to show you. These are some of the biggest pumpkin seeds I've ever seen. They are huge. I'm talking fat, which means the seed inside the shell has got to be huge. These things are going to bake up nice. I'm going to have to do a video on how to do that, but these are going to be some amazing pumpkin seeds. Oh. All right, so my pumpkin is hollowed out. I have a full bowl of stuff and some of the nicest pumpkin seeds I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. Those things are huge. I got a nice hole in the back so I can work with. That's where I'll be unloading my, or uploading my candle, I guess. So now it comes down to doing the face. And this is the part that you want to be most careful on because you want it to be right. When you scribble on it with a little marker, it's kind of hard to tell if it's going to be right or wrong initially when you look at it. But what you want to do is you want to set your pumpkin on its base and see how it's going to sit, because you don't want the mouth too low. If the mouth is too low, you're looking at the pumpkin, the mouth is facing the ground, it's not very good. So you want to make sure that the mouth is probably a ½ inch above to where it starts to slope downward when it's sitting. And that's the kind of effect you want to try and get. Now, I have my little teeth here, and I want to kind of measure out going down and see how they're going to fit, because I don't want to make the mouth hole too small. And here's the thing with screw-on teeth, just by looking at them, I can see how they're going to set. You need your cut to be flat, so you don't want to try and cut at an angle either way. So you have to follow the roundness of the pumpkin and make a flat line, and that's what I'm going to attempt right now. All right, so I got the basic shape of my mouth. You can see how nice and flat this is on the inside. Should be on the top and the bottom. The sides don't really matter unless you plan on sticking teeth out of the sides. But right here, and this is only if you're using screw-on teeth. If you're, or even toothpicks or whatever you want to use for teeth, or if you're just going to carve them in, it's always best to have the mouth flat. You don't want angles in the mouth, because it keeps the light from having wide open angles coming out. And this is a good way to see if I got like some loose hangers, things like that. But I'll go in and I'll clean all that up. All right, so I carved in a nose, and basically I like to keep noses fairly simple, because this is where people make a lot of mistakes. A nose can be really hard by doing a bunch of different things, because it's a smaller hole. And the smaller the hole, the easier it is to screw up. So I went with just basic little slashes, easy to put in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve out on the inside around to make the hole going this way on the inside to let the light really shine through. With small holes, a lot of times what people will do is they'll carve in, and the inside of the pumpkin will be really tight. You'll barely get any light through it. So I want to make sure that it shines nicely. So just by simply carving away the back, look at how beautifully open that hole is. That's going to allow light to shine through. It's going to look really good when it's pitch black with a candle on the inside. So now I'm going to do my eyeballs, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, because I'm using an eye inside of an eye instead of, like, I could carve out and then you just leave a piece of pumpkin, you know, in exposed so the light shines through. I want more of a 3D effect. So what I want to do is carve the eye, but I have to measure the diameter of my eyeball first, because I'm going to hot glue it in there, and I want to make sure I can glue it to the top and bottom of where it's going to touch. So what I'm going to do is take my marker, measure it out, and you can see that I have some eyes kind of drawn in there. I'm going to change where they sit and the shape and depth and all that, just so it works with this. That was just to give me an idea of where I want my face. But so far, so good. So I have a basic shape of basic shape and size of how I want my eyeball. So there's a couple things here. It has to be uniform. So when you do your second eyeball, you're definitely going to want to measure across where on the nose your eyeball starts and finishes, or off the nose, above the nose, whatever. And here's where it gets tricky, is you need to make very tight corners. So either have a really thin piece, you could even use like a jigsaw blade, boop, 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 and do it that way. Or just be really careful with the knife as you go around the corners, because you don't want to square it out unless you want a square eye. People do that because it's simpler. So this one's going to be a little tricky. I'm a genius. All right, so I'm not going to lie. The 3D eye is going to be really cool. And you can see how the light's going to come through, and that green should light up a bit, I'm guessing. And even if it doesn't, I don't care, because that looks boss. So now I have to mimic it on the other side, and I need to do the same size because it happens to be perfect. And once it's hot glued in there, whew, man, this thing is going to be so cool with that eyeball, well, with a pair of eyeballs sticking in like that. I think I'm going to really like that. So that effect might just be a winner. Now let me do the other one. All right, so now my face is looking good. So obviously, because I'm using a round eye, I went with a realistic eye shape. And I think that's going to do me good when it comes down to putting in the teeth and the actual eyeballs themselves. The rest of the stuff should just add to everything. So right now, I'm going to work on getting in my teeth. And I've never worked with these, so hopefully they just go right in and have no problems. I will soon find out. But I will let you know. First things first, I have to take my teeth out and line them up and measure. I don't want to just start sticking them in there and then having them all goofy looking. So let me measure them up. All right, so this is where I'm at so far. This thing is crazy cool. All right, so this guy is coming out pretty badass. And now it comes down to just doing it. I mean, if I did it just like this and left it, it would be fine. But it has to be better. So I'm thinking next is the arms, and try and figure out how I'm going to work the machete. So this is going to be tricky. All right, so this is what happened. I put in the arms. I had them in like this, you know, and it was sticking out and it was looking pretty good. But I was really wanting to get this one in deeper, and in doing so, I snapped it off. So I thought, what if I recess it and put it in a little bit and then hot glue it? So that's going to be my new attempt. If it fails, then I'm going to have a big hole. So I'll have to figure out what I can do. Hold on. All right, so this thing, it's almost like the white Slimer from Ghostbusters. It's got the arms out. It's coming at you. And now what it comes down to is the machete. And I'm thinking about doing a slice and just putting the machete in the head like this, kind of at an angle. And that's easy because all I have to do is cut a little groove. So now it's just about measuring my spot. All right, so far, I have to say, this guy's quite impressive. That right there is a pretty badass pumpkin, if you do ask me, or if I do say so myself. Whoever's asking, whoever's saying so themselves, that's a pretty badass pumpkin. So now I'm going to finish like getting out all the stuff from like what I just carved, all the little pieces, get that out, and I'm thinking about doing some spiders. And I'm just going to have to make a few slits for the spider rings to fit in. And that will be it. So that right there is all the stuff carved out. And I have to say that this guy's looking pretty cool. This guy is looking pretty cool indeed. So I am happy with where I'm at so far. I got a nice string of glue there, but this thing's coming out now. Let me just see if I could decorate a few spiders into the mix. All right, so the spiders were a genius touch, and because they're spider rings, they fit on fingers. But look at that. They look like they're on the skin, and all I did is make little slits and stuck the spider rings through, and this is what I have. So what I need to do is throw a light source in there, some kind of candle, and I need to find pitch black, which right now in the daytime is going to be hard, but I'll see what I can do. I might have to throw a spider underneath the chin somewhere over there. But, I mean, that's just cool. I don't care who you are. That's pretty badass. Now, what I also might do is have to take a little bit of red paint and come down with a little blood drip or something and see how that goes. But all in all, I think this is a pretty big success. It just looks cool. I love the machete sticking into the head, arms out like he's still coming for you even though he's dead. I love the bulging eyes, so from anywhere around they're going to be 3D, the bulging teeth. And I did the side fangs. You see how they're sticking out? So I did fangs coming down and fangs going out. I think that's really cool. I even hot glued the teeth in there just because eventually the pumpkin's going to get soft and it'll start to fall out, but I wanted to hold on as long as possible. So far that's pretty cool. So I might do a little bit of red, and I got some over there, I know. And then we'll try and light it up. We'll see how it looks. Hold on. All right, so I didn't put it in darkness yet, but I did add some blood. So you can get a good look at the whole thing from right there, I mean, that's pretty badass. All right, so now we need to get a candle in darkness. All right, so this is kind of crazy. I don't have any places complete darkness, but what I did is I just upped the light just to get a shot at what it's going to look like in complete darkness with the eyes all lit up. And you'd have to think there's like the separation where the machete is. Light is going to come through there when it's complete darkness. Red paint. But you can see where it's at right now. It's hard to tell because the light is so bright. But look at the eyes. You'll see that the light is going to come up through here, right? So it will have like in complete darkness light shining on there. You can see the nose obviously complete through. The eyes, all the way around the eyes is going to be completely lit with this just being dark green. Remember, the light in there is brighter than what's normally going to be in there, but look at that. I have to say, that there is pretty cool, man. That there is pretty cool, man. The green eyes are exactly the effect I was hoping would happen. All right, well, I don't know, man. That's I got to call this one a winner. It's still dripping blood on the floor, though. I got to clean that up before it dries and I get in trouble. All right, so anyway, guys, get your pumpkins, be creative, have some fun, and see if you can't make a work of art and not just your typical jack-o'-lantern, right? Because this thing, man, you might even impress yourself. All right, that's it for this one. I am Donnie B all day. Until next video.